talk to us a little bit about like the buying process, right? Where, you know, you guys are certainly approached quite often by agents. You're going the other way, reaching out to agents. Like, what is that process like? How do you, you know, kind of deal, you know, the deal points? What are the nuances there? How do you help, you know, avoid overpaying or underpaying? Like, what is that, you know, what does that all look like?
Yeah, we do and we don't. Sometimes it happens, and if the ends justify the means, then we have to bite that bullet sometimes. It's an interesting relationship. For the brunt of my deals, I'm working with a partner that's driving what lineup they want to see, and like I said, the guest data is kind of driving it. And then I'm suggesting a batch of acts that maybe based on what I've seen here and here, there's all these artists that fit in between. You know, things like, have you toured with them in the past 5 years? Will this resonate with your fans for this or this reason? But then it's, for the most part, we're going direct to agents and saying, this is the artist we're looking for. So I'll say I have scenarios where an agent's pitching me something and it actually comes to fruition. But I'd say that more often than not, those opportunities are rare. I always welcome agents to pitch things because I love new music, whether I can get it on a boat or not. I want to hear it and see it and maybe become a fan. That's just me. But for the most part, we're going direct to an agent, and that negotiation can go, you know, a multitude of different ways. But typically, we are having acts. For the most part, sometimes artists are just playing one time on board, but for the most part, you're seeing acts play 2 to 3 shows on board. And like for something like the Emo's Not Dead cruise currently, just to use an example, Yellow Card you'll see do 2 full band shows, and then they'll do an acoustic set. So it's really looking to see, can we show a different side of the band in some sort of way, something that people might not get otherwise unless they're in a VIP sort of experience. And then we're asking them to celebrate an album if they would like to do so, but I'm not requiring anyone to do that. But then yeah, it's tossing out an initial offer, seeing if you know, some people are insulted by an initial offer. Some people think it was too much, but they keep their poker face and enjoy that money. And you know, sometimes we get yeses, sometimes we get no's.
So usually you're the one to offer the first dollar amount. That's usually the route that you take.
Yeah, I would say so. I think industry wide, it's kind of fostering those relationships from agent to agent, and knowing that sometimes you may be hitting a touchy point with them by making an offer without any sort of discussion. So sometimes I'm doing an interest avail that doesn't mention any sort of price. And then a lot of times, based on discussions with our partners, we're just going in at a flat rate and saying, you know, where does this hit, and how long will it take us to get to the right spot? Got
it. Now, do you include? I mean, you've got a pretty amazing asset, right? Of this is a vacation experience. Like, are you including things like rooms for the band's family, or, you know, a villa in whatever? Like, talk to me about that a little. Yeah. I think sometimes not so much on an initial offer, but if that's the feedback that I kind of get, and if I've got the ability to do so, that's where a lot of times from the get-go, and then depending on where I'm at in the process, depending on how many bands have booked for the lineup, I'm always conscious of, I've got 2 different budgets that I'm working with, which is just the financial guarantees, and then how many cabins do I have allotted? Because while we are chartering the full ship, that is an investment, and it's something that most agents don't want to understand. But there is a dollar value on each of the cabins that I'm offering to a band, and anytime we're giving them to a band, we're taking away from our guest allotment and taking away from the bottom line. So economically, you guys are essentially just renting the ship, right? I mean, there's not really a partnership there from a you know, ticket splits with the cruise line or anything of that nature. Like, that's typically how it's treated. Yeah, well, when Sixthman started, at this point, we're a wholly owned subsidiary of Norwegian Cruise Lines. So that's a good portion to bring up. But I will say, so that means that our charter rates are much better than they were
previously before I even started at Sixthman. You know, one summer we might be on Carnival, the next summer we would be on Royal Caribbean. It was whoever gave the best rate and had the best facilities for us to use for that event. At this point, even as a wholly owned subsidiary, we are still negotiating a charter rate, but it's a much better rate. And typically, if you think about it in a venue sort of perspective, we're getting first hold more often than not on any other charter business that might be coming in for their cruise line. And then since that alignment has happened, we've gone from 1 ship to 4 ships.
Yeah,